Oh, I didn't know. No, I was wondering how I was going to see you.
Yeah, just kind of keep it aiming that way. All right.
Look at your crotch. We're on the porch. Hour and a half, I think.
All right, so this won't take too long, but when Jim and I talked about what other topics that we can do, I do the throwing shoulder one every time we're here, and we'll do that later this afternoon. And we'll talk about throwing form on that one, and I'm going to educate you a little bit about the shoulder. And it's a great session, so if you're not doing anything at the 1:45 time, please come and listen. And we're going to spend some time, I'm going to save time for actually throwing. We're going to throw, and I'll help you with your throwing mechanics. It's really important to throw the ball right, especially at our age. But we're also going to teach you some exercises to do to A, keep your arm in shape, or B, make your arm even stronger, okay? So make sure you come back for that one. I started talking about a lot of times we get into this stuff, and a lot of what we end up teaching is mostly mental. It's stuff that you can do that's not physical. So I started writing down some stuff, and I got 2 pages worth of stuff. And I said, wow, we can definitely do a session there. And I'm one of those guys, I coached for 30 years, and I have a passion for educating people about the game, because I never liked stupid baseball players. They irritated me a little bit, you know, and sometimes on the field we do some stupid things. And yeah, and you got teammates that are doing stupid things, and you just want to, you know, you wish you could educate them a little bit. So I just started writing down some of the mental things that we can do to make us a better player, and it ended up, you know, I liked it. So I'm going to share some of this with you. And again, when we're done, I'm going to give you the notes on it. We're going to start with hitting, all right? As Yogi said, hitting is a pretty physical thing, all right? Yesterday we talked about the grip, the stance, the stride, all of that good stuff. But that's only half of the game, all right? So right now, let's talk about pre-at-bat. Pre-at-bat, what are some of the things we can be doing before we get up to the batter's box? Watch the pitcher. What are we looking for when we watch the pitcher? Say what? Yeah, in slow pitch softball, you know, baseball, I've been a baseball guy for years, and the hard thing about baseball is they're throwing it a little bit faster, all right? The ball's a little bit smaller, it's a little harder to hit. Softball, they're throwing an underhand, all right? They're throwing an underhand, it's a hitter's game. However, if you can study the pitcher and figure out some of the things that he is doing or she is doing, it'll make you better. So a couple of things we look for is we look for pitch tendencies, all right? In our game, the arc is what? From 6 feet to 12 feet. Pitchers have tendencies. Some of them like to throw a flat one all the time, so they're a little bit, you know, they're 6, 7, 8 feet all the time. And then you got that guy that likes to hit the ceiling with it all the time. He's up there at 12 feet. So what you can be watching for before you get in the box is, what is that pitcher's tendency? Does he throw it flat a lot, or does he throw it high a lot? What else can we be looking for?
Positioning of the fielders. Positioning of the fielders.
Okay. Let's go. I'm still talking about the pitch. What other things can an underhander, what else can we do underhand that might affect me as a hitter?
Sometimes they can throw a curveball.
Some of them will throw a curveball. All right. Some of them will throw a spinner.
Knuckle.
All right. And some guys will throw a knuckle. Andy Purcell throws the best knuckleball in the game. All right. But as a player, do you know when the knuckleball works best? Anybody know when it works best?
Who's the pitcher or the hitter?
When does a knuckleball knuckle better?
Oh.
When the wind is blowing out. When the wind's blowing out, the knuckleball will dance. Okay, when the wind's blowing in, it's not as effective. Did you know that?
No.
All right, so that's the one thing we've learned today. All right? So a knuckleball, and here we are, most of us play on a clover leaf complex like this, and game, the 8 o'clock game, you're on field 1, and then the 9:30 game, you're over on field 3. Well, what just happened?
The wind
You
reverse.
just went from wind blowing in to wind blowing out. All right. So as a pitcher, and I pitch, I know what pitch is going to work best depending on what field I'm on. Okay. I was playing league the other night, and it was been windy all week. So Wednesday night I went out and played league, and it was windy, and I knew I was going to have some fun because the more the wind's blowing, the more I can do as a pitcher. All right. So what if it's blowing from right to left? From the right field pole to the left field pole? Well, the ball may break, and how many times a pitcher thrown a regular pitch, but the wind pushed it? It started on the inside part of the board, and it pushed to the outside because of the wind, not even on purpose. You need to know that as a hitter. Which way is the wind blowing? Very important for several reasons. One is the pitch may move a little bit. So if you quit on a pitch because you think it's outside and the wind brings it back and it hits that board and you got 2 strikes on you, you got that walk of shame back to the dugout because you didn't mentally prepare for that. You didn't take into account that there's a wind out there. And then watch the pitcher. All right? We can spin it. We can get out here and throw a 2-seamer that'll break. All right? From my right to left or away from the right-handed hitter. And I'll do it on purpose. I'll start it at the hitter, and all I got to do is get them to freeze for 1 second. All right? It starts at them. You get them to freeze. All of a sudden it starts breaking and it hits the board and they're standing there, oh my God. All right? So you need to watch and see if your pitcher is throwing a breaking ball. There's also a 2-seam spinner that I can throw that'll go left to right. All right? So if I'm on that field where the wind's blowing from here to there, I can throw that spinner that actually breaks this way. All right? So keep an eye on that. And then there's the old church league spinner. What is so effective about and you guys know it's the backspin, right? The pitcher that throws the ball with backspin. What does that ball actually do? What's the difference between that one and just a regular old 4-seam topspin? What does the backspin do?
Well, if it hits the bat, it wants to roll down.
I'm not a believer in that, except over here. Anybody hit off of these machines over here?
Yeah.
They're throwing the best church league spinner you could ever throw. Man cannot duplicate that spin. I don't like the machine. And while you're over there, what are you noticing? What's the ball tend to do? It actually floats longer. It stays in the air longer. And it's Bernoulli's principle. All right, the ball will follow the path of least resistance. And a ball with backspin will stay in the air longer. A ball with topspin will come down faster. Okay? So if you know that, that's going to help you. And I tend to get people out. You know who I throw spinners to? Fast people. Anybody that I know that runs pretty good, or somebody with quick hands, I'll throw the spinner to them, and I usually get them early. They pop it straight up in the air. They miss-hit the ball, which at my level is what I'm trying to do, is get that good hitter to miss it. Miss it just a little bit. And the backspin, the church league spinner, floats and takes longer to come down. All right? It acts like a changeup in baseball. So as a hitter, you need to know that. All right? They also, in many of the leagues, they can either throw from, where's the front rubber? How far away is that? 50 feet.
Right.
And then in many of the leagues, they draw a little box for us, and you can go back how far? 10 feet. All right? And you can throw it from 60 feet. Now, if somebody's throwing it from 60 feet, is that going to change the timing for you as a hitter?
Absolutely.
Sure it is. It's going to take longer to get there, isn't it? Now, it's harder for him to hit the mat or the board, isn't it? Because he's 10 feet farther away. But if you got somebody back there throwing it from 60 feet, all right, it is different. You have to change. You have to adjust to it. So that's something you got to watch for.
Yeah, they'll throw maybe the first pitch off the rubber and then the second.
And then they'll back up.
Yeah.
Exactly. They're messing with your timing. I have a sheet. I'm a geek, I know. I actually took a bucket of balls out to the field one day and had a helper, and we had the stopwatch on, and I threw about 20 pitches. Each pitch, I threw from the 50-foot rubber, I threw 20 top spins. and he timed it from release to hitting the board. So we put on an Excel spreadsheet, I love Excel, I put my 20 times on there, all right? And then I did 20 breaking balls, we timed it. And then we did 20 knuckleballs, and we timed them, every one of them, put them on the sheet. And then we did 20 spinners. We timed every one of them, put them on a sheet. Then I backed up to 60 feet, and we went through it again. I spent 2 hours out there doing my research. And believe it or not, it's amazing the amount of time difference we have, all right? I think the USSSA flat pitch, the 3 to 10, from the 50-foot rubber was the fastest one, of course, and I think it took like 1.35 seconds from release to the board, to the mat. 1.35 seconds. The slowest pitch that I was able to throw was a church league spinner from 60 feet at 12-foot arc, and that took 2 seconds to get there. All right? Doesn't sound like a lot of difference, but if you think about it, it's almost twice as long. It almost took twice as long, all right, for the spinner to get there than the flat fast one did, all right? So yes, as a pitcher, we can disrupt timing on hitters. So as a hitter, you've got to know, you got to watch and see what that person is doing, and then figure out what their best pitch is, so you're not surprised by it. Okay? Also, there's pitchers that'll throw the first pitch. How many people play with a 1-on-1 count? Most people start with a 1-on-1 count. Depends on what league you're in. Some do 1-on-1 count. I like it. It's a speed up rule. Speeds the game up a little bit. But if you start with a 1-on-1 count, all right, there's some pitchers out there that'll what will they do on the first pitch? They'll throw you a cookie.
Yes, they will.
They're just trying to hit the center of the board and get ahead. How many times do we take it? A lot of people don't like swinging at the first pitch, so you take it. Now you're in a hole. As a pitcher, I want to do the same thing. I want to get ahead, because now once you have 2 strikes on you, is that different?
Yeah.
Heck yeah. It's different hitting with 2 strikes, gang. All right? It's different. Now you've got to protect. Now you can't be as picky as you could on that first one. So do not get in one of those patterns, I'm going to take a strike. I'm going to take the first pitch. You got to be ready to hit that first pitch, because you don't want to get in the hole. My other pet peeve, you're okay, you're all right. My other pet peeve is the ball one, all right, let's say it's 1-on-1. So they throw you a ball, 2-1. They throw you another ball, it's 3-1. Guess what we usually do on 3-1? We take.
Meatball.
Why? Why? That's going to be a meatball. All right? A lot of people will take the 3-1 pitch. Now they're back in that hole again. They just went from advantage to disadvantage. And a good pitcher will work you with 2 strikes.
You get a lot of team pressure, though, if you swing out a 3-on-1.
Well, you need to talk to your teammates. You need to tell them that 3-1 pitch is probably going to be the best pitch you're going to see. If it's bad, you let it go and it's ball 4. But if it's good, go ahead and hit that thing. All right? You with me on that? Yes.
No, it's the same with the first pitch. If the guys walk 2 hitters in front of you, your manager's going.
Well, that's a mental part of the game. Are you watching? Yeah. If the guy's wild, that's on here as well. First pitch cookie, very next one wild, question mark. Is the pitcher wild? Are they struggling? You're okay? Are they struggling? Yes. Don't get up there and, if he just walked 2 batters in a row, don't swing at the first pitch. All right? Make them work a little bit. Now, you may put yourself in a hole with 2 strikes, but, have that. And then short or deep. There's some pitchers that'll just, they're working on the front of the board all the time. You need to know, is that his best pitch? Is that what he or she's doing a lot? Or are they hitting the back of the board all the time? You need to know that, because what can you do different now? You got to adjust when you get in the box. If we got somebody throwing it 12 feet hitting the back of the board, you need to stand where? You need to back up in the box. Okay? If you've got them throwing it flat and short and hitting the front of the board, you need to move up in the box. All right, so those are all things you can be doing on deck, checking out the pitcher's tendencies. All right, conditions. Which way is the wind blowing? We just talked about that. For several reasons we need to know. that ball moves. The wind affects the ball in softball. All right, so you need to know as a hitter what the wind is doing. Not only because what the pitch might be doing, like we talked about, if the wind's blowing out, that's fun as a hitter, but you also need to know if he's throwing a knuckleball, it's going to move a little bit with the wind blowing out. All right. We also need to know that in our approach, if the wind's blowing in, what do the outfielders tend to do? They come in a little bit, which shortens the field a little bit. Makes it a little bit harder to hit it over the infielder's head in front of the outfielders, correct? So you need to know that. A lot of times the wind will be blowing out to right or out to left. All right, know what's happening there? Check out your fielders and see where they are. If you think that left fielder's playing a little too shallow and you think you can hit it past him, go for it, okay? But you gotta know what the wind is doing. If the wind's blowing in pretty hard, we need to try to hit the ball where? Down. We need to keep it out of the air. Fly balls are easy to catch. So if the wind's blowing in hard, hit it down. Hit you some line drives, all right? Hit you a hard ground ball through the hole. Make them field it and throw you out. If the wind's blowing out, outfielders are going to back up. That gives you a little bit more room. Now it's okay to get it in the air and utilize the outfield. So you definitely need to know the conditions, all right? Is it a 4-man infield or a 5-man infield? You need to know that, okay? You're okay, you're okay, you're okay. Take the donut off that bat. All right, so 4-man versus 5-man, and we all know, and some of you play 11 fielders. You got 4-man in the outfield and 5-men in the infield all the time. And of course, that's no fun either. Okay, and also you need to know where the base runners are. Why is that important? We never want to hit into a double play, do you? Double plays are inning killers. All right, so if there's a runner on first and nobody out or one out, where shouldn't you hit the ball?
Shortstop.
Middle. Try to stay out of the middle. Okay, with a runner on first and 1 or 2 outs. Does that mean, can you blast one through the middle? Sure, but you want to be, you want to try to stay out of the middle. At least make it, if they're going to turn a double play on you, make the corner person do it. Make it a little more difficult. Make them have to throw it twice instead of that middle infielder catching it, stepping on the bag, throwing you out. All right. So understand that as well. If there's a runner on third and 1 out, all right, low scoring game. Now you have a sac fly opportunity. Okay. So now you got a chance to get the ball to the outfield, at least get that run in. You don't want to hit a ground ball with a runner on third and 1 out, do you? Well, they look the runner back, they throw you out, now there's 2 outs. That next batter's got to get a 2-out hit to score a run. Where you, as a hitter, with a runner on third and 1 out, all I know is let me get it to the outfield. Even if I make an out, I should be able to score a run. All right? Runner on second, nobody out. More so in baseball, you want to try to hit it opposite field, move that runner to third. But even in softball, you can think about those kind of things, especially if it's a low-scoring game, wind's blowing in, and runs are at a premium. You need to, sometimes move that runner around a little bit. So that's part of the mental game. You gotta, before you get in the batter's box, look around and see what's going on. All right, let's talk about the approach as a hitter. This isn't physical, this is mental. This is the biggest thing I taught yesterday over here, and if you take anything away this weekend, I want you to start doing this. When you get up to bat, I want you to find 2 holes, find 2 places to hit the ball. 2, all right? Hopefully the guy after me hitting will go and get the hitter's bat before me, so I don't have to worry about that, and our team is pretty good about that. The guy behind me hitting will go and get the guy ahead of me's bat, so I can get up here. First thing I want to do is some landscaping, all right? First thing you got to do is get that batter's box right. All right, if there's a hole, fill it in. If you're going to stand off of the plate, find you a spot. A lot of guys will build a little ramp to put their foot on. All right? You've got to do some landscaping. Some of these batter's boxes are terrible. You've got to get that batter's box ready for you to hit. Also, where your landing foot is, go ahead and smooth it out. Get you a nice landing area. You don't want to twist an ankle. You don't want to slide down a hole into a hole, do you? All right? If there's a mat underneath it, make sure you know that. If you're hitting off a turf, not a problem. You shouldn't have to do any landscaping. But just know, all right, that it might be a little slippery, so on and so forth. All right? Before I even get in the box, I look around. I wait for the defense to set up. All right? And now I start looking. All right, where am I going to go? Where am I going to go? And I try to pick out two holes, one on the left side of the field and one on the right side of the field. Two spots. Why? Because we don't want to force balls into one spot. It's not that easy to do. So I'll look out and I'll see, okay, a lot of times we play against a 5-man infield, 3 outfielders. So I know I'm going to have gaps. The gaps are open, the lines are open. All right, I've got to get it to the outfield because there's 5 people in the infield. All right, and then I've got to keep it in the yard. I don't want to hit it over the fence with nobody on base. So there's a lot of things that go into mind. And we tend to play the same teams over and over again at the major plus level, so they know where I like to go. So they start taking away my #1 spot, which over the years has been right center field. So now I look out there and my center fielder's sneaking over here and the right fielder's coming off and they're taking that right center field gap away. Okay, I need to know that. That's fine. What that just did is opened up the left center gap. And then I watch the left fielder. All right, what are you going to do, buddy? Are you going to take my line away or are you going to come and take the gap away? Usually there's one or the other, and a lot of times there's both. All right, so I'll pick my 2 spots. I get in the box, and then the pitch tells me which hole of the 2 am I going to. If the pitch is on the outer half of the board, I'll hit it into that left center gap. If the pitch is on the inner half of the board, I'll throw it down the line. All right? You never want to take an inside pitch and force it to the right side of the field. What's going to happen? You end up jamming yourself. All right? It's not going to go very far. You also rarely want to take an outside pitch and try to pull it. You'll roll over it and you'll hit it on the ground right into that left side of the infield. All right? You got to hit the ball where it's pitched. If it's middle away, go middle and away. If it's middle in, hit it middle or in or pull. All right? If you're up there and you just see one hole and you jump in the box, it's not real easy to hit every pitch into that hole. And a lot of times we get ourselves out before we even got in the box because your approach was wrong. Everybody with me on that? Find 2 places before you get in that box that I might want to go. Could be in between first and second, could be right of the pitcher, left of the pitcher. All right? That, you know, they could be giving you a big old gap in the outfield. See it and know it, and then pick the right pitch out to hit it there. I'll do batting practice someday where I'll call it while it's in the air. Left center, right center, 5-6 hole. I'll say it out loud while the pitch is in the air where I'm going to hit it. Okay? That's bat control. If you want to hit 800, 750, you got to be able to do that. You got to be able to hit the ball where you're aiming. You never want to get into the box and just hit it. And just get lucky. Okay? You've got to give yourself a little bit of credit and know that I can hit the ball in a certain area of the field. I can get it in the air if I want to. I can hit it on the ground if I want to. I can hit it to the right side. I can pull it. You with me? If you can't do that, you need to work on it. It's going to make you a better hitter. It's called bat control. You got to have a little bat control. And in this game, why do we have bat control in softball? Because it takes so long to get there. Versus baseball, they're not placing the ball. You see Major League Baseball right now and the analytics. Oh my gosh, they're leaving one person on the whole right side of the field and moving 3 guys to the left side of the field. And do you think those baseball players are hitting it to the opening hole? Nope. They're just trying to hit the ball hard and square it up. Okay? So, but not in softball. We have time because the pitch is slower, we can move the ball around. We can actually hit it where we're trying to hit it, or at least somewhere in that vicinity, yeah.
Yeah, in our league, most of the variability in the pitching is shorter or deeper, as opposed to
In or out.
in or out.
Yep.
So, you know, when we set up, we're setting up based on the tendency of the pitcher. This guy normally
Right.
pitches is short.
Good.
So, I mean, what if the guy pitching you deep and you're set up short? I mean, you don't move, right?
You don't move in the middle of the pitch. You better find yourself a happy medium somewhere where you can still hit it if it's hitting the back of the board. All right.
Yeah.
You need to take his strength away. If it's back of the board that he's hitting all the time, you need to back up and have yourself ready. Now the in and out, believe it or not, and that's the cool thing about the board. I love the board. I love the board. If it hits the board, it's a strike. If it misses, it's a ball. It's pretty easy. And as an umpire, all I got to do is all I'm watching is when the ball gets to its peak, is it legal or not? All right. So as an ump, that's all I want. Is it legal? All right. And then did it hit the board or not? So they've